Our next banner from Fire Emblem, the Blazing Blade, is here. It features Rath, Fiora, Nils, and Leila. We'll take a look at their stats, new weapons and skills, and then talk about some builds and general playstyles. There's a bit of important information we have to talk about for this banner, so let's just jump right into things. First off, Rath is going to be the 4-star focus unit on this banner, which means he is available as both a 5-star and 4-star unit. Now here's the kicker: after the banner is over, Rath will be demoted straight into the 3 to 4-star pool, not the 4 to 5-star pool like normal. This is very interesting, and Rath is our first 4-star focus from a new heroes banner, so could this mean all future 4-star focus units get the same deal? Could we even see a 4 to 5-star demotion from the other 3 remaining units? Absolutely no idea at the moment, but I think this is a decent change. Before, even though a unit got demoted to the 4 to 5-star pool, they could still pity break your 5-star rates, but now a 3 to 4-star demotion won't let that happen. And while Rath isn't a terrible unit, obviously there are just some stronger and more valuable 5-star only units most players would rather get pity broken by. Regardless, if you really want to get Rath and we're going to 5-star him anyway, then summoning on this banner is probably still your best bet. With that out of the way, let's now discuss Rath as a unit. He is a green bow cavalier, and his stats include 41 HP, 33 attack, 35 speed, 23 defense, and 24 resistance. That's a decent amount of attack and speed, plus they are the same as Brave Lynn's. 41 HP, 23 defense, and 24 res isn't that bad for a more offensive archer, but obviously Rath isn't going to be super tanky by any means. We now have 4 green bow cavaliers and 0 red or blue cavs still. I don't really understand why they hate other colors, but Rath joins the green bow club, and all the green bow cavaliers have pretty similar stat lines: higher attack and speed with a lower emphasis on defense or res, Python being an exception. Rath is definitely middle of the pack. He doesn't have the most attack or highest speed, but he has the highest res, even if 24 res isn't exactly a record. For old skills, Rath has the slaying bow, a good general purpose weapon for a unit with a balanced set of stats. He will then have Glimmer on a 1-turn cooldown, and he can increase its damage if defense smokes -7 defense debuff is applied to the enemy. Not a bad kit for a future 3 to 4-star unit. Rath will actually introduce one brand new skill, and this is why it's pretty surprising to see him get put into the 3 to 4-star pool. Speed and Res Form 3 grants speed and res plus X to unit during combat, and X is equal to the number of allies within 2 spaces plus 1. This has a maximum stat boost of +7. We got another form skill to play with, and these are an alternative to bond skills where you have to stick with the team to get stronger. Forms have a higher potential at +7 to 2 different stats, but you need 3 nearby allies, while bonds only require 1 adjacent ally to get +5 to 2 stats. It's rather easy to fulfill this condition if you play more defensively. For a ranged cavalier like Rath with only 24 res, I don't think speed and res form is the greatest match for him. It's not bad, but generally if you use a ranged cavalier that has good attack and speed, you probably want to use them to initiate from long range, and that will probably move them away from their allies. For the most part, there's not a ton to talk about because, as mentioned before, all the green bow cavaliers have pretty similar stat lines, minus Python, who has way higher defense. Rath has the best res stat, but 24 base res isn't exactly that amazing if you want to be a tank. If you do want to play more defensively, you can refine the slaying bow for extra resistance and add the steady stance secret seal for more speed plus extra defense to have a better balance. So stance would be the choice if you want to go full on magic tanking. For B skills, you can always go quick repose, but if you want to go for the speed route, then low attack and speed would be great and denies enemy attackers their precious attack and speed buffs. If you'd rather be more aggressive, then we got a bunch of tried and true options. Of course, the Fury plus Desperation plus Braze attack and speed combo is incredibly good and easy to put together. Works great with a slaying bow as well. Could also try out Swift Sparrow, and Rath can utilize the Brave bow or Fire Sweep bows if you wanted to range green damage. He should absolutely destroy all those lance flyers out there. If you do go with the Fire Sweep bow, Life and Death is a cheap A skill with a ton of power, and low speed and defense is a really good premium option. Of course, we now have our Swift Sparrow Sacred Seal as well. Overall, Rath is a decent unit, especially one that is getting moved to the 3 to 4-star pool. Unlike the instant 3 to 4-star units from before, Rath has the current generation of BST, which is really nice. He also has speed and res form at 4-star rarity, so if you wanted to try out the form skills, this is a great opportunity without having to summon for a 5-star only unit. Our next unit is Fiora, the eldest of the Pegasus Knight sisters in Blazing Blade. She is a lance flyer with 38 HP, 32 attack, 38 speed, 21 defense, and 37 resistance. The good news is that Fiora is our new highest res melee flyer in the game with a tie for highest res of any flyer, and 38 speed is pretty fast too. The bad news is that 21 base defense is actually laughably bad, and that's the lowest for any melee flyer. Really low defense on melee units is not great since there's just so many sources of physical melee damage, and god forbid any arrow hits Fiora. Her stat line is basically taking the Pegasus Knight archetype to the extremes with really high speed and res, but that low defense is going to be a problem. Fiora will be really good against dragons, who are pretty much everywhere these days, but definitely cannot brawl with tons of sword, lance, or axe units. For old skills, she comes with Iceberg, which would deal a lot of damage with that base res stat. Fiora also has Fury 3, which is nice and will be important for her new passive skill. For her new weapon, Fiora has the Guard Lance Plus, which is another guard-based weapon. It inflicts -1 special cooldown charge on the foe for every attack, and it's always active, which isn't the case for a bunch of other guard-based effects. Having guard is just incredibly useful against any special reliant units who really need their special for getting kills, and it's a great skill to have to slow down units with special cooldown reduction. If you can't fit guard into your passive skills, then having it on a weapon isn't that bad an option. Fiora introduces a brand new flyer skill called Pegasus Flight 3. The description from the trailer video was incorrect and has been confirmed to actually state, at start of combat, if unit speed is greater than or equal to the foe's speed -7, inflicts penalty on foe's attack and defense during combat equal to 50% of the difference between res stats. This has a maximum of -7 attack and defense. Another important note is that the res comparison happens before combat, the same time the speed comparison is happening. Pegasus Flight is also only inheritable on melee flyers, excluding the beast flyers. Now this is an interesting skill, but it's definitely not for everyone. You actually get a 7 speed advantage in the speed check, so if you have 40 speed, the enemy needs 48 speed to not proc Pegasus Flight. That's really good, but you still need a decent amount of speed, and it's out of combat as well. You also need really high res to get the most amount of attack and defense debuffs on the enemy. First off, I will say that this skill really wants buff support and if possible debuffs on the enemy. All the speed and res comparisons happen before combat, so you can't use things like Swift Sparrow or a solo skill to boost your chances. You want speed or res boons, skills like Fury, and then speed and res field buffs. If you have Yoon, I think she's a really great teammate for this since she has Sabotage res, which can benefit your Pegasus Flight user as well. Obviously, Fiora has the speed and res for this skill. Other users I think could use this skill include Cheetah, Claire, Sigrun, Est, Camilla, and Tsubasa. I think bare minimum you gotta shoot for at least 30 speed and 30 res. Using Fiora as an example, let's see how Pegasus Flight works. Using Fury 3, Fiora has 41 speed and 40 resistance. That means before combat starts, an enemy with 48 or less speed will proc Pegasus Flight. Now we do the res comparison, and with 40 res, any enemy with 26 or less resistance will hit the maximum -7 attack and defense debuff. That's because 50% of a 14 res difference gets us 7, which is the max. With this in mind, Fiora's low base defense gets a lot of help, not to mention the extra defense from Fury. She doesn't have a lot of HP though, so she will still fall to multiple physical damage threats. Fiora's best strength is definitely messing with dragons who have to get through her higher res stat, and with Guard Lance and Pegasus Flight, Fiora may be more annoying than anticipated. With an open sea skill, a ploy skill would be pretty nice to stack with Pegasus Flight's in-combat debuff. With Fury and her low HP, a Brazen skill may also be nice, and you can always go with Brazen attack and res if you really want to mess with dragons or mages. If you don't want to kill Fiora slowly, there is always Fortress defense and res, but you may need speed buffs to make up for the lack of Fury. Now for an interesting A skill, Fiora is probably a prime candidate for Distant Ward, another niche skill, but with her low defense, she doesn't want to fight any archers or dagger units anyway, plus the extra attack and res can help against dragons too. Overall, Fiora is definitely not for everyone. If you like Cheetah or Claire, you might like her, and then Pegasus Flight is going to be an oddball skill as well. It could have potential on high burst flyers like S, Elincia, or Cordelia with their brave weapons. Having -7 defense on the enemy for someone like S would just be insane. Competing with Fiora for blue orbs is going to be Nils, who I imagine may be just a tad bit more popular. Nils is Ninian's brother, and like his sister, he is an infantry blue dragon dancer. Nils has 45 HP, 31 attack, 35 speed, 26 defense, and 25 resistance. Very respectable amount of HP for a dancer, and with 35 speed and okay defense and res, Nils should be able to take a hit or two. That is a very nice trait to have for a support unit, and Nils has multiple ways to use his high HP to his advantage. For old skills, Nils has HP and defense 2, which grants an extra plus 4 HP and plus 2 defense. That will give him 49 HP, which is pretty great. He also comes with infantry pulse to grant infantry allies with -1 special cooldown as long as they have less HP than Nils. Pretty great ability to have. Now as a dancer, Nils has to have a dance type move, and his is called play. He does pull out his little flute, but sadly he doesn't do his little dance like in his original game, which is a shame honestly. Book 4 has some crazy special dance skills on our new characters, but play is just regular good old dance or sing. It's basically the same thing. No special add-ons, but it does work with his weapon. Frost Breath is a 16 by Dragon Stone and gives Nils an extra 3 resistance that will get him up to 28 res total. At the start of the turn or when play is used, inflict -4 on all 4 stats on the closest foe within 4 spaces of Nils through their next action. Basically, Nils emits a -4 stat debuff every turn if there is an enemy within 4 spaces. He will emit the same debuff again if he uses play, so even if he doesn't hit someone at first, Nils may be able to apply his debuff when helping his allies. Not only is 4 spaces huge on Faye's tiny grid, but if Nils dances someone to attack an enemy, he will almost always tag someone. This is a rather nice ability since trying to bait Nils or his teammates probably means your lead unit is going to eat that huge debuff. Obviously, Frost Breath works amazingly with Wings of Mercy, which is always a great skill for any dancer. It's a very cool weapon. Now we get to Nils' secret weapon. He comes with a new B skill called Even Pulse Tie 3. At the start of even number turns, all foes with special ready, if the user has more HP than the one with the lowest HP, then you inflict +2 special cooldown count on that foe. Oof. Essentially, this skill hard counters any teams that rely on instant specials such as Ophelia sweepers or infantry pulse setups. I want to make clear that the description is kind of funky on this skill, but from testing you can find that Even Pulse Tie is looking at any unit with special ready. It does not just target the lowest HP enemy, period. That means if you have a unit with 40 HP with special ready, they will still get hit by Even Pulse Tie even if you have a unit with less HP and no special ready. Even Pulse Tie is inheritable by infantry and cavalry units. There are no cavalry dancers yet, but if you have a high HP cavalier and you have a burning hatred for Ophelia type units, then I guess you can inherit this skill. Obviously, Nils with 49 HP is a pretty good candidate already, but he can't use Wings of Mercy like many dancers love to do. Even Pulse Tie also isn't unbeatable since you have 2 player phases to make your move before it kicks in. If you want Nils on your defense teams for Aether raids, you probably should make it hard for the enemy to instantly start attacking your team. Another downside is that this skill only hits 1 enemy every 2 turns, so against teams that are really all in on the infantry pulse setup, you may be able to stop one of them, but if there's 2 or 3 more specials, you only have so many turns in Aether raids. Regardless, expect to see this skill in upcoming PvE maps, and if you primarily use special spiral carries, you may want to be careful. Unsurprisingly, Nils is pretty much set from the get-go. You don't really have to change anything in his kit if you want to use both Even Pulse Tie and Infantry Pulse. If you want HP increase in skills, you don't have that large A selection. You got HP +5 or the dual HP skills that grant +4 HP and another stat. There's also the dual blue Infantry A skill if you want some extra arena scoring. Since I don't think I brought it up before, I do want to mention the Squad Ace AE2 Sacred Seal. What in the world is that seal? Well, with the latest Squad Assault, we finally got a Sacred Seal that isn't just a single stat booster. Squad Ace AE2 is the same as a dual HP stat booster, granting +4 HP and +2 attack. This isn't that important unless you run multiple units who want HP increase in skills and maybe you want the same second stat boost, like +2 speed for example. Just something small to keep in mind for future Squad Assaults. For other skills, if you want survivability, there's always good old Fury 3. Nils can run a boost skill as well if you want to run another HP increasing skill. Something like Wind Boost granting 6 extra speed might just keep him alive against a deadly enemy, and that can be valuable. For more support options, we got Panic Ploy, which is also a Sacred Seal, and then Sudden Panic if you just aren't feeling Even Pulse Ties doing anything for you. That is the thing with that skill, generally the enemy won't always have instantly ready specials, and unless you let them draw fights out, Nils may never actually be able to use Even Pulse Tie. It's insanely good if you know you are going to face a team using units like Ophelia, but if not, you may just have a useless B skill. Thankfully, Nils still has Frost Breath, so he can lay down some debuffs, but there's nothing wrong with changing out Even Pulse Tie with something else if you aren't finding it to be helpful. Nils is still going to be a great dancer, and I'm sure I'll be seeing him around. Last banner unit for today is Leila. She is Matthew's lover and was an NPC character. I'll let you find out why she was an NPC. In Fae, Leila is pretty crazy. She is a colorless infantry dagger and she has 40 HP, 36 attack, 41 speed, 23 defense, and 26 resistance. She ties Soth for highest attack for infantry dagger units and blows everyone out of the water with 41 base speed plus speed super boon. Easily our most offensive dagger unit stat wise. If you like Soth, Leila is easily just as destructive and probably way more. For old skills, she comes with rally attack and speed plus, so that's plus 6 attack and speed for an ally. She also comes with life and death 4, good lord, plus 7 attack and speed but minus 5 defense and res. Definitely go big or go home. For her C skill, Leila has attack smoke, pretty good debuff to have on a dagger unit. Now Leila has a very unique weapon called the Constant Dagger. It has 14 might and grants plus 3 speed, so a neutral Leila sits at 44 speed already. When she initiates combat, she will get another plus 5 attack and speed. Oh boy, now the second effect of Constant Dagger requires Leila to have an ally support partner. If Leila initiates combat and is within 2 spaces of her supported partner, the foe cannot counterattack and Leila will then swap spaces with her partner after combat. If you have 2 of the same unit Leila is supported with and both are within 2 spaces, the swap will not occur. This is quite a unique ability and is incredibly powerful, I think, if you can utilize it well. Leila can free fire with her ridiculous amount of attack and speed, apply debuffs, and then use substitution jutsu to get out of the hot zone. This is incredibly cool in my opinion, but it definitely requires some thinking. Basically, you would move Leila's partner into a safe spot, have Leila attack, and then swap with the partner who can take over on the enemy phase. There are so many potential support partners for Leila, and I'm sure we'll see some really cool team comms around her. Important to note that ally support is not active for AI controlled units, which means thankfully you won't have to face this craziness in Aether Raids or the arena. For Leila's B skill, she has attack and defense ruse 3. If a rally assist is used by Leila or targets Leila, inflict minus 5 attack and defense and guard on foes in cardinal directions of Leila and her ally. Another ruse skill and a pretty good one for physical damage dealers. Leila can give an ally plus 6 attack and speed and then inflict minus 5 attack and defense on the enemy, and she herself can utilize the debuffs if needed. Now let's talk playstyles more because it's pretty obvious that Leila is tailored to be supported with Matthew. If she initiates combat, her daggers inflict minus 7 defense and res on foes within 2 spaces, and then attack smoke inflicts minus 7 attack in the same space. For those unaware, Matthew's Spy's dagger, when refined, gains bonus attack equal to the total number of debuffs on the enemy, so 7 times 3 gets Matthew a whopping 21 extra attack. Tack on speed smoke and you can give him 28 attack, and a lot of Matthews like to run close counter too, so it's really just a great setup for the enemy phase. If Leila isn't in a position to attack, she can also just rally Matthew to give him plus 6 attack and speed, and then hit enemies with attack and defense ruse for the debuffs. As long as Matthew is there to soak up attacks, Leila can support him very well. That's not to say that Leila herself isn't a freaking monster. With her base kit, she will have 62 attack and 56 speed on initiations, and that's always active. You don't even need a support ally for that one. The benefit of being in range of her partner is that she prevents counterattacks, so who cares about life and death's penalty, and Leila is just going to free fire on some poor soul. If you prefer some extra offensive skills, you can replace attack and defense ruse with special spiral or no follow-up. She is definitely fast enough to use Flashing Blade 4, and if you don't want the minus 5 defense and res penalty, you can use Swift Sparrow 3 instead of life and death 4. Ideally, this isn't required since Leila wants to attack, then swap out to safety with her partner. The tough part about talking about Leila is that her potential is so incredibly high, but it really comes down to the user's tactics and the support partner. You have to keep in mind that you can move the partner first, maybe even use them to reposition Leila forward, and then she can attack from there. This is also where a dancer can be very handy for setting up big plays. While Matthew synergizes with Leila wonderfully, there are definitely other options. If you pick a cavalry unit, their 3 movement can help position better. If you pick a flyer partner, you can do some really wacky stuff, like you can have Leila make an attack, swap backwards with her partner, dance her, then you can let her fly back in if you give the flyer the guidance skill. If we're talking specific units, there's Kronia who can shine with a close counter Vantage set if you give Leila's double savage blow skills instead of smoke debuffs. You can also have Valoria, who also has an ally support mechanic. She grants -2 cooldown to her partner, so with Leila that could work nicely if she runs a special spiral set and have Valoria tank for her afterwards. There are way too many other possibilities to talk about, and feel free if you have an idea for Leila's best support partner. Overall, Leila is incredibly destructive just by herself, basically a way scarier Soth. With her ally support partner in crime, Leila can create some really wacky setups and moves no one else can do. Add a dancer into this equation and there's a lot of fun to be had, I'm sure. Certainly a unique unit, and I would definitely summon for her if I had orbs. The whole teleporting mechanics just reminds me of the new Trickster class in 3 houses, and it's just a very interesting playstyle to me. That wraps up this banner breakdown. I believe tonight we have the next grand hero battle, and it's for Heath. If you like freelance flyers with similar stats to ones we just got, then oh boy, do I have a unit for you. Jokes aside, I'm giving Heath a fair shot because everyone has their favorite units, and who cares about using purely meta units. We'll see what kind of discussion there's still left to be had on Lance Flyers in that video, so hopefully I'll see you guys there. Thanks for watching, and good luck on your summons.